and others have been absolutely shocked and appalled by what we've read in a mainstream newspaper. This isn't just you can't just pass this off as a conspiracy blog site or fake news or anything like that. This is from a mainstream, supposedly legitimate mainstream source, The Telegraph newspaper. And I cannot believe that they're actually saying this in public. Killing babies is no different from abortion, experts say. I thought when I read this that this was some kind of anti-abortion piece, saying that killing babies is bad, and so is abortion because it's killing babies. But no, this is actually trying to justify and put forward a case to kill children, once they're born. Parents should be allowed to have their newborn babies killed because they are morally irrelevant, and ending their lives is no different to abortion. A group of medical ethicists, completely ethical, linked to Oxford University, has argued, and I cannot believe that they're actually saying this in public. This is Nazi eugenics. I mean, what else is there to say about that? This is absolutely sick. It's trying to justify the murder of babies. So if abortion wasn't bad enough and people, many people eventually tolerated and accepted abortion as if it wasn't murder, now it's gone a step further. All of their agenda is like this. It starts with one thing and it gets gradually more and more evil, incrementally, so that people get used to it each time, until you can now look at the picture of a baby and eventually justify that, the killing of that, and then what's in the future if people are desensitized to this, which is in itself absolutely awful, then killing Christians, for example, is not going to be, people are going to be so desensitized by the end of it. The article published in the Journal of Medical Ethics says newborn babies are not actual persons and do not have a moral right to life. The academics also argue that parents should be able to have their baby killed if it turns out to be disabled when it is born. How is this any different to Nazi Germany? I mean, how many people out there are outraged when they read this? For me, it's like one of those articles that you read, you think, am I actually reading this? Is this actually happening? Are they serious? Then you look up and you see, yes, it's in the Telegraph, and it's talking about so-called experts that are trying to justify this. The journal's editor, Professor Julian Savulescu, director of the Oxford Uehiro Centre for Practical Ethics, said the article's authors had received death threats since publishing the article. He said those who made abusive and threatening posts about the study were fanatics opposed to the very values of a liberal society. Wow. This is liberation, is it? This is freedom. The freedom to kill children and, just in the same way that they used to offer sacrifices to Moloch and Baal, and they used to sacrifice their children as an offering. So this is the values of a liberal society, and anyone who disapproves with the killing of infants is a fanatic who is opposed to the freedom of our social, The article entitled "After Birth Abortion, Why Should the Baby Live?" was written by two of the professor's former associates. They argued the moral status of an infant is equivalent to that of a fetus in the sense that both lack these properties that justify the attribution of a right to life of an individual. Rather than being actual persons, newborns were potential persons. Unbelievable semantics. They explained both a fetus and a newborn certainly are human beings and potential persons, but is a person in the sense of subject of a moral right to life. Wow. So now we've gone from the fetus not having the right to life to the infant not having the right to life. Then what's next? people with conflicting opinions to the wider social demographic, such as religious beliefs, not having a right to life, the disabled. I think somewhere in here even, as it says here, the academics also argue that parents should be able to have their baby killed if it turns out to be disabled when it is born. That is exactly what it is. And dehumanization is a consistent component of genocide. This is what it is, dehumanization. It's reducing that child to a less than human state. You know, it's saying it's not an actual person. Newborns were potential persons. You know, it's not a person in the sense of a subject of moral right to life. That's dehumanization, because it is a human being. This is not even, you know, as bad as it was, it's not talking about a fetus anymore. This is talking about an actual born child. But they're saying that it's not human. So this is dehumanization, a consistent component of genocide. And look here, dehumanization, victims are not considered human, so murder becomes okay. Denies the humanity of another. Equated with animals, insects or disease, and you get radio and print propaganda. We're seeing all of that together. And as someone else said, it does not stop here. As bad as this is, it does not stop here. It will keep getting worse until they are literally justifying the murder of anyone that disagrees with their propaganda, with their liberal agenda. The liberal agenda will love you to death. As we've said all along, the most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, from her book Women and the New Race. And it all comes back to eugenics, the Nazi agenda, and America's campaign to create a master race. Look at this, war against the weak. It began on Long Island and ended at Auschwitz, and yet it never really stopped. Sacrificing children here on the altar of Baal and Moloch. We've already allowed the abortion of children in our society on the altar of whatever gods we serve, whether that be money, convenience. But now it is going a step further. Would you believe it? I can't quite believe what I'm reading. Killing babies is no different from abortion, experts say. And that is, in a sense, true, because killing babies is no different from abortion, because abortion is still killing babies. But now they're using it to go a step further and to justify, in their eyes, from the so-called experts at Oxford University, that it's somehow ethical to kill an actual born baby. And as Jesus said, due to the increase in wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. And that is exactly what's happening. This is so wicked, and yet it's being printed in the Telegraph newspaper, and they say that we are the ones that spread hate by just merely pointing out the truth, that this is murder, this is evil. And so many of the things that are being pushed in this liberal agenda in society are evil. And they say we're evil for telling it as it is and pointing to the truth and the morality of the Bible, which protects us and protects little children, innocent children like this. Thank you for listening. Please discuss in the comment section. Unbelievable.